Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is Utah Senator Mike Lee, the ranking member of the Senate Joint Economic Committee. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. I want to start off with your reaction to President Biden threatening he's not going to send those shipments of weapons to Israel if they go into Rafah.
Yeah, Maria, this is just reprehensible. You're taking a group of people who have been victimized. Remember that there were thousands of people killed innocently, innocent people who were killed in Israel. Men, women, children, even babies. And they're the victims. Now they're being re-victimized by, of all people, the United States of America. Congress, moreover, has recently passed an aid package I voted against because, among other things, it spent too much on other countries, and because I was concerned that the aid wouldn't actually make it to Israel. Well, lo and behold, a lot of it's not going to Israel, or at least it's being conditioned on Israel not being able to defend itself. This is inexcusable, and I really don't know how Joe Biden can survive this. I think this is yet another indication that it's time for change at the White House.
You know, I was speaking with some voters last night, and, you know, they felt that this was a red line. They couldn't believe it. This was like the final straw. These were Democrats and independents. Do you think this is going to affect how people see the upcoming election?
Without question, it will, and it certainly should. Look, nothing calls out more for Donald Trump returning to the White House as the 47th president of the United States, quite like blunders like this one. And this one is a doozy. It's colossal because it demonstrates to the American people, and it demonstrates to people all over the world, that we've got flawed, we've got inadequate, we've got ineffective, feckless leadership in the White House. That has to come to an end. And that'll happen, I believe, when Americans go to the polls this November.
Senator, let me just look at this one story. I've got to get your take from the Washington Post. The Washington Post apparently got this leak from, I assume, the Biden administration, but it says that the administration is working urgently to stave off a full-scale Israeli invasion of Rafah, and they claim that they will give Israel valuable, listen to this, quote unquote, valuable assistance if it holds back, including the U.S. will share sensitive intelligence to Israel to help the Israeli military pinpoint the location of the Hamas leaders to find them in hidden tunnels. So in other words, the Washington Post is writing that Israel, that the United States will share information about where the terrorists are with Israel if they don't go into Rafah. Are you kidding me? In other words, the U.S. knows where the terrorists are. They're not going to share the information with Israel unless Israel doesn't go into Rafah. This story is outrageous in the Washington Post.
The story is outrageous. The facts underlying it are tragic. Look, this is extortion. We're saying we can help you locate your victims who have been kept under just horrible, horrific conditions, the worst anyone can imagine. We will share that information with you if and only if you choose not to defend yourselves. We are re-victimizing the victim nation here. This is terrible. And again, yet another reason why Joe Biden is unfit for office and Americans need to elect Donald Trump.
Let's talk about the bill that you are pushing, the SAVE Act, and I want to get your take on a free and fair election come November. Tell us about the SAVE Act.
Look, in our country, it's always been one citizen, one vote. And under federal law, only citizens are allowed to vote in federal elections. Here's the tragic thing, Maria. Over the last three and a half years since the Biden administration has been in power, they've let in about 12 million illegal aliens. There are an estimated nearly 30 million non-citizens in the United States. Currently, with the laws we have in place, the so-called motor voter law, the National Voter Registration Act, you do still have to be a citizen to vote. But the Supreme Court has interpreted it as prohibiting those at the state level who register people to vote from requiring the production of evidence of documents proving citizenship, just like you have to show when you get, say, a passport. They're prohibited from asking for that. And so what that means is a person can fill out a form, and as long as they check the right box and sign their name and are willing to lie, they can vote in federal elections, even if they're not citizens, and they couldn't prove it because they're not citizens. The SAVE Act would fix that loophole. It would make sure that actually it is going to be American citizens voting in federal elections. And would require the states to go in and review their voter registration files and eliminate those who are not citizens.
This is so important, and I know that the RNC and Michael Whatley and Lara Trump have been saying that a fair and transparent election is their #1 priority. What kind of a reception are you getting on the SAVE Act from your colleagues? Because, you know, this wide open border has people questioning whether or not illegals are going to vote in the upcoming election. And what is the motivation for the administration to keep this wide open border? Ken Paxton, the AG of Texas, last week told me that he thinks when they cross the border, officials are giving them Social Security numbers and they're giving them voter registration sheets. What about that? Do you have any evidence of that?
So, well, yeah, it's happening all over the place. And in all 50 states now, you can get a driver's license without being a citizen. So that, coupled with the motor voter law, means that it's going to be very, very easy, if people request it and check the box, to actually become a voter who can vote in federal elections. Now, with respect to your question about the kind of reception it's getting, universally, Republicans love it. I believe some Democrats love it, but there are a number of Democrats who are belittling it and saying there's no need for it because they come out and say, oh, well, of course, it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote. That's not the point. The point is that it's nearly impossible to enforce that law, and it's nearly impossible to stop people from cheating and just checking a box, signing their name fraudulently, claiming to be citizens. The SAVE Act would fix that. We need to pass the SAVE Act immediately.
Real quick on inflation, which was one of the topics last night for the President Trump at his New Jersey rally. Wow, the pictures were extraordinary of all of those people. Senator, we are still looking at inflation up almost 20% on Joe Biden's watch. Why?
Well, this is the predictable, foreseeable, and in fact, by many of us, actually foreseen result of years of back-to-back multi-trillion-dollar deficits. It is no mystery what inflation is caused by. Yeah. It's caused by the federal government spending too much money it doesn't have, effectively printing it. It makes every dollar go less far. It's why household after household in America, on average, is shelling out an additional $1,300 every month just to live. That's wrong, and that's another reason why we need Donald Trump as president.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. We will see you soon. Senator Mike Lee in Utah. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.